everybody. How we doing? Y'all awake this morning? All right, very good. Mayor, thank you so much for being here. As y'all know, we have a new setup every time, and I want to thank Stephen Durham and Jess and the team at Home Furniture and Mattress for our lovely setup today. You can talk to them afterwards if you would like to take it home instead of us them bringing their delivery truck back over to pick it up. But we love the opportunity to partner with our local businesses and our local government partners, and the series is just a wonderful opportunity for us to highlight both of those things. And Mayor Patrick, I couldn't help but notice the amazing turnout from our partners at the City of Warner Robins. So I wanted to give you an opportunity first in welcoming you, but to let you share with us a little bit about who you've got with you today.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today, and thank you to April Bragg and the Chamber and the leadership at the Chamber for always allowing us to have this opportunity to share what's happening in the City of Warner Robins. But who I have with me today are some of my great friends and also my partners in progress. So I'm going to call them out first. And I call my council members my partners in progress because I'm the face of the team, but we do all this together. So I'll go in order of who I see first. Charlie Bibb, stand up please. Kevin Lashley, Barry Curtis. So those are the three councilmen who are here today. I'm so privileged to work with them. We act as a family, and we challenge each other in a positive way to move our city forward with progress. We also have a lot of our directors here from the City of Warner Robins. If you'll stand up, because I'm not going to even try to call all your names. So all of our directors, if you'll please stand. And we'll squad today. And then all of our staff, if you'll please stand. And then the executive team. So City Administrator, Operations Manager, if you'll please stand. And I'll be remiss if I don't mention the other mayors in the room.
Absolutely.
I saw the mayor of Perry, Mayor Walker. He is here. I know we have anyone here from Centerville. Oh, great, Mayor Pro Tem Armijo is here, and then also we have Commission Chairman Purdue. I know I saw him somewhere. Yes, and all of the individuals who represent those entities. Thank you.
Yep. And also Councilman Michael Evans, I know I saw him, and I think you're actually the Mayor Pro Tem, is that correct? No, there's a swap up there, so thank you. And of course we've got our leadership from Robins Air Force Base, the county, our Board of Education, and as we say every time, this room is filled with VIPs. They represent our volunteers, our investors, and our partners as we all work together to advance this amazing place we get to call home. So Mayor, you just recently hosted your State of the City address. You had a packed house at the museum and really had a chance to, first of all, give highlights from last year. So I want to talk about those first. So if you'll just highlight some of the great things that were accomplished in 2024, and we'll get the conversation started there.
Absolutely. So 2024 was a big year. I call every year a big year since I've been in this seat. But we were happy to accomplish a few major things. First up is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial land. We received a generous donation from Mr. Driggers, and we finally have a location on Vietnam Veterans Memorial Parkway. That'll be the future home for our memorial. Another one is Operation Reawaken and the renderings that were done by the UGA, Carl Vinson Institute of Government, which saved tons of money. We were blessed enough to win an opportunity to have them work on a project with us that involved Commercial Circle. And we went a little bit further and got Carl Vinson Institute to do the renderings for us so that you can see those around Commercial Circle on our website, anywhere, and even in these magazines if you don't have one yet. And lastly, I'll say another big highlight, which is not a traditional thing to talk about, but our tax rate. Council and I, with our team, we found a way to roll back our millage rate in the City of Warner Robins to provide some relief to families and businesses in a time when relief is much needed and appreciated.
Yeah.
So we have the lowest millage rate we've had in years, and not far off from where we were 82 years ago when our city came in existence.
Wow, that's something else and quite impressive. Along those lines, you know, the city has accomplished a lot, and you mentioned, you touched on Operation Reawaken and the partnerships and the ability to leverage resources outside of our community. And I know that's something that's been a hallmark with you in office. Can you share a little bit about those partnerships, like the Carl Vinson Institute, and other ways that you are able to leverage outside resources to help achieve goals right here in our community?
Absolutely. I see a lot of our community partners in here, but April Bragg is right. We utilize partnerships wherever we can, and that's one of the secret sauces, I'll say, that council and I use to try to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. If there's someone else doing the work already, we want to engage them so we can be stronger together. One thing I can tell you about partnerships we've had is going to be with our Haven Hope House. That is built on partnerships. We had the pleasure of being able to get a lot of the services that we would have had to pay for. We got it through partnerships with Middle Flint, AmeriCorps, also First Primary Healthcare, and then working with organizations that we've already worked with, like VOA, Volunteers of America, and also the VA. So that's one space where we use a lot of partnerships in our community, and I'm waiting for more.
Awesome, and we're going to have an opportunity to talk about some more in just a second. So one area, if you've attended these for a while, and many of you in the room have been coming to these for a decade or more, Parks and Recreation is something that, you know, was a long overdue investment in the city of Warner Robins, and we saw major movement and really progress in providing that vital service for quality of life in our community. Recently, you shared some things about a change in direction for Parks and Rec. Can you elaborate on what those changes entail and what the community can expect moving forward?
Yes, well, I'll start by saying this is my fourth time sitting here on this seat, and I've really enjoyed working as Mayor of Warner Robins, and I thank everyone for entrusting me to lead a team that doesn't need much leadership. But while I've been here, we've had lots of changes in directors. Just since the last time I was here, not only have we had a change in Parks and Rec, we've had a change in a number of things. We had a change in the fire chief, also finance, HR, police department, command staff. So change is something that happens. But one thing that we do is it provides us an opportunity for growth, and also having a unique perspective joined to our team with a lot of skill and expertise. So for Parks and Rec, what we're doing is the new director will continue on the path of the previous director and enhancing our Parks and Recreational options. Many people should know I have a big focus on doing things outside of just sports. But recreational tourism is something that's going to come, and I have two pioneers in my council who want that recreational tourism, and that's Bibb and Lashley. So that's something you're going to see that's going to change as we continue to grow the city.
Yeah, and we're already seeing, I mean, just a huge increase with the investment of the new North Houston complex and all of the exciting things that have come as a result of that, as well as y'all's pickleball courts stay packed. My daughter will sit out waiting, 30 minutes to get a court, but it is exciting to see continued momentum there. Another topic that we've talked about year after year, and even preceding you, was first a debate and then a commitment to hiring a city administrator for the city of Warner Robins. That was another big key personnel change, and wanted to see if you could share a little bit about filling that position, your selection, and then we're going to invite him up to come join us in just a second.
Perfect. So I talked about growth and opportunity in the city, and one of the most notable additions to our team is our city administrator, Mr. James Drinker, who you're about to see if you've not already met him. He's one of the tall guys in the room, but not as tall.
He's in good company.
Not as tall as the one who leads the ship of the chamber as the chair. But he comes with over 20 years experience in management of cities, economic development, and he is truly a jack of all trades. It took us a while to find the perfect fit. One thing about council and I, we believe in quality. We don't make knee-jerk reactions or do things quickly without taking the time to make sure it's the best fit for not only our city government, but for our city as a whole. So it took us a while to get there, but we got one of the best that the nation has to offer, and his name is James Drinker.
Yeah, let's bring him on up. Thank you for being here. I personally am so excited having you in this position, but I know a lot about your background. I don't know how much our audience knows, because this is your first time on, it's not your first time at Eggs and Issues, but your first time up here on our comfy couch to share, and I would love for you to share, I know, it's like the TV show, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background, just to update the audience on your experience, where you came from, and why you're coming home.
Okay, sure. So I've been doing this kind of work across the state of Georgia for a little over 35 years now. I actually started running chambers of commerce and economic development agencies in Southeast Georgia. Last 24 years, I've been up in the city of Alpharetta. Started up there doing economic development. They brought me in to fill buildings and create traffic, and ask anybody up there, we got that done. You know, came in to do economic development, moved into urban and strategic planning, and then the last 17 years as the deputy city administrator up there before Mayor Patrick gave me the opportunity to come home to Houston County. It's a very special thing for me. My family came here in 1969, and my father was part of the team that built Continental Can, the plant that's out there that's now Purdue. So you know, that was a big thing for Houston County at the time. It made huge changes into the community, and it's pretty cool to be able to come back and follow that legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you're returning home, this community looks a lot different than it did when you were here as a child, and we've seen tremendous growth. And I would like to ask you, you know, what excites you most as you have stepped in to this position, and what are those opportunities on the horizon that just get you excited?
Sure. So, you know, I'm always going to start with people, because a community is nothing if not its people. And so when you have an opportunity to work with somebody like this one, or this amazing council, and honestly, we have an incredible team at the city. It's a team that fully embraces the idea that our singular purpose for existence is improving the lives of 87,000 people every single day. Now, if you can't get impassioned about that, waking up every day with that as your mission, well, I don't know how to motivate you. But then you look at what this mayor and this council have done in a very short period of time, and the tough decisions that were being made. You know, a lot of communities shy away from those, and they cannot be successful. This mayor, this council, they were already making tough choices. They already had a vision, and they had a team ready to execute. My role, other than, you know, I'm kind of like Jack, right? I'm coming into a community. I don't have to bring vision. We have it. I don't have to bring brains. We have it. I can't bring beauty, but we have it. So like Jack, my job is to reach things on high shelves. But you know, it's all about trying to create new pathways and leveraging strategies and methods that I've built over 35 years, doing the things that we're trying to do here, right? Creating exciting downtowns, creating opportunities in a city for all. That's the goal. These are things that I know how to do this, and I can bring techniques to the table and really set the vision on a faster path, and more importantly, remove barriers and ignite the positive team that we have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I want to share the rest of the questions will be for both of you, and I want to piggyback on the vibrant downtown you described. I know when your family was here previously, Commercial Circle looked a lot different than it did even just a couple of years ago, and vastly different than it does now as we see Operation Reawaken, I'll get it, emerge, and that required demolition before we can raise that phoenix up. So, Mayor, I know this has been something that has been a top priority of yours since before day one, and with James's expertise, we do have the right tools, the right partners, and momentum to make something of that. So if y'all will share a little bit about the scope of the project, timelines, and where we are in the process.
Okay, so I'll stab first and then you take it home. All right, so I talked about the renderings we have that are already out. The next phase will be for us to get the strategic development plan. That's it, right? The design standards. Get the design standards solidified so that we can go out for an RFP for a master developer to develop the downtown. One thing that council and I were adamant about this time, since we've heard about redevelopment of our downtown for decades, was to make sure that we had ownership of the areas so we can control what happens there. And instead of piecemealing a redevelopment by allowing the private owner to do the work, or getting a group of developers to do it, we decided to find a master developer so we can have something nice like what Mr. Drinkford was already involved with up in Alpharetta, Johns Creek area, so that we don't have to hope, so that we actually know for sure this is going to happen.
Right, so the design standards, right now what we have are some really nice images, right? And it's a great vision. But we have to put a program in place where we define every aspect of that, right? The architecture, the signage, the landscaping, the lighting, all of those elements, so that when we go out to the private sector saying we're looking for a development partner, they know exactly what we're looking for, and they can decide what that return on investment is going to be. It's not about restraining the private sector, it's about giving the private sector the target that we're trying to hit, and then allowing their creativity to come to the table and create something truly amazing. So we'll create those design standards, working with architectural and engineering firms, and then bring in the private sector, because there's a lot of things that government can do. Development is not something that we do well. And one of the things that we try to do is if we don't do something well, let's get a partner who does. Now, I know right now, how many of you just love trolling social media and looking at all the positivity that's on social media?
Jumping on my next question.
Yeah, there's plenty of folks out there that are naysayers, right? And we have to win them over because, one, there are those who just don't believe right now, because this is something that's been talked about so long. And progress is happening now. It didn't happen before, but it's a little harder to see. So we've got to win those folks over, but we also have to ignore the people who take the air out of the room, right? For 35 years, I've been having the opportunity to prove those people wrong, and we're going to prove them wrong again. Yeah. And we're going to love every minute of doing it.
We jumped all over my next question, because I was going to say that there has been a significant amount of buzz around this from many who have been excited to see this go beyond something we talk about to something we're actually acting on, to those naysayers that think it can't happen or think we're destroying the only history I have. But James, if you can speak, because you have extensive experience in this, you don't have to be a traditional town that's built on squares like our beautiful neighbors to the south in the city of Perry in order to have a way to generate that town center feel and synergy around intentional strategic development. So can you speak a little bit to your experience there and maybe some areas that y'all are drawing inspiration from there?
Sure. So, really it's about a process. It's being strategic instead of tactical. It's having a council that is patient and understands the value of the word no. Willing to say, we're going to take our time and we're going to wait for what is right for us. But then when we see what's right for us, being extremely aggressive and going after it. So one of the key things, as Mayor Patrick mentioned, is the fact that we now control about 73% of the property in that commercial circle district. Previous city, I now call Brand X. In that city, we worked on a downtown program for about 20 years. Different iterations of it, right? Different plans, different ideas. It got to the point where I begged our mayor at one point, please don't send me out to try to sell this again because they're not gonna believe me anymore. But the key was we didn't own the property. We were trying to work with 13, 14 different property owners. Then one day, we went on a buying spree and we started acquiring the property. And once we had it, and we had a new mayor that came in, he loves to say, yeah, we did it in 4 years as soon as I got here, right? Okay, we were working on it for 20, but he's right in the fact that once we had the property, it took us about 4 years before we started going vertical. And if you go there today, 11 years later, you would never know that it had not been there the whole time, right? Communities are like children. How many of you, your kids, have turned out exactly how you expected them to turn out? They made every decision exactly. Right? Communities are like that too, right? They evolve over time, and sometimes in ways we didn't foresee. But we still have a plan. We have a vision, and we have a general direction. And if we do things right, the end product is always going to be incredible.
Yeah, I love that, and Mayor, that sets us up nicely for my question for you as a woman of vision. What ultimately does success look like for Commercial Circle? What is that dream vision?
Well, despite the statements that the people who never believed in Santa anyway think, the ones intimidated by change, success for me is us having exactly what we dreamed of. Just as Mr. Drinkard described, a vertical downtown, really showing that circle, that where Commercial Circle is known for, really showing that, having mixed-use development. I could take my son and our soon-to-be first pup, we're getting a first pup, walking downtown for all of our needs on a random Saturday, being able to walk over to the amphitheater, hear some great music, have some great dinner, some international cuisine, and somewhere for my kids to play and your kids to play and our kids to play together. That's what success of a downtown is to me, and that's exactly what I know we're going to get.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you. So another topic that's gotten a lot of conversation already this morning with our opening comments from Mr. Boogie Shoes and continued is our proactive approach to aiding our neighbors experiencing homelessness, right? They are not the homeless. It is not it is a temporary state for most people, and most of the time something people didn't choose, but it is something that impacts all of us, both personally as well as our business community. And that was the reason many years ago or just a few years ago when Brian Wise partnered with the church to open up the Warming Center, that we engaged the business community, and so many of you helped to donate to that cause because you were seeing the impacts in your shopping plazas, in your retail establishments, of having people who didn't have a place to stay. But we know it goes beyond that to wraparound services and all the other things. So the Haven Hope House is the city's joint venture homeless shelter. It's obviously an important initiative to you and for our community. Can you give us an update on the progress and the current priorities?
Absolutely. So Haven Hope House is in its last phase of renovations. We purchased the building, 2 years ago? Right about 2 years ago today. And it's been quite a ride, and we're very, very proud of how far it's come. We plan for it to be able to open in the summer and having a big shindig, so you guys make sure you clear your calendars. But I want to make sure we pay a special thank you to Robbins Regional Chamber in April for sowing that first huge seed to make sure that the warming center, their table church, was successful. And those same beds that you guys went to bat for and got donated to the city will be the beds that we're going to have inside of our shelter. So your seed is going to continue to help with transforming people to a greater life. So they're contributing members of a society, even if it's not ours.
Well, and this is another great example, Mayor, of how you have continued to leverage strategic partnerships. As you mentioned earlier, from construction and other things that were made available through volunteer resources, grants, and donations. What are some of those that you might want to highlight that maybe you didn't speak about earlier? And then, as David mentioned, there's still opportunities for whether it's donations or volunteer engagement. How can the people in the room be part of helping the sustainability of an operation like this?
So for Haven Hope House, so many volunteers. So the community is what makes Haven Hope House successful. We also have the Homelessness Coalition as well. So we're able to do service in the community before our building is even ready to open. We'll have a 50 bed shelter that'll house up to 50 people, men and women. Women will be separate. But our volunteers are a major part of our success. Our sponsors, the people that are donating their services and the goods to give to people even as we speak. I know I saw a flyer from Acres and Oaks. They have recently come in and helped with feeding Sonny's, Tasting in the Borough. There's so many, and then we have something on the horizon with the big plant that's in our area that has given us a verbal to provide as much meat as we could possibly need in our shelter on a consistent basis. So that is a huge win. So when you're talking about good stewards of taxpayer dollars, instead of us paying a budget of $1.5 million or so to make sure the shelter runs, we are engaging individuals who cuts that price tag way low to make sure that everybody is getting involved in service in our community and giving those people a hand up.
Yeah, wonderful. And are there any specific needs that you need business community engagement in for that, or we just stay tuned and do what Brian Wise asked us to do?
We always love ideas. We're gonna start a campaign soon. We're gonna try to do the round up your cents in our local shopping districts. We're even doing donations at the cashier counter. We'll be doing that. So if you have a business and you're interested in doing that and helping us, please let us know. Always looking for donations, food, people to run a soup kitchen or volunteer at our local soup kitchens. Those are always opportunities. But any type of resources that you can provide, we have so much food. Any other food vendors, instead of throwing that stuff away, you can donate it and feed someone, including children, who need food.
Yeah. And then finally, I just want to augment, because I'm part of that Homelessness Coalition. I don't think people understand just the scope of the individuals in the room, the agencies that are involved. So if you can give us a brief overview of that and the types of services that are being offered through partnerships that will transpire at Haven Hope House. So it's not just a place to stay. It's a place to learn a skill, build up your resume, and hopefully gain gainful employment so that this is a temporary stay for these individuals.
Absolutely. So some people that help make the Homelessness Coalition and then the shelter successful. I already mentioned the chamber. I mentioned many businesses, local businesses that provide help with food. We also have, with Middle Flint, they're going to be providing all of the therapy that the individuals in the shelter will need if they qualify for such. Department of Behavioral Health will be able to take care of the rest of them. AmeriCorps will be able to provide personnel full-time to work in the shelter up to a certain number without the city having to pay $1. All the services that we're getting from these partners, we pay $0 because they already receive funding to do it. So we don't have to pay for that. You have individuals like Genesis Joy House, who helps to make sure that who has helped with our coalition and getting people ready for interviews. Then you have Sacred Heart, helping to make sure they have their ID cards. Then you have Pastor Bonnie Underwood's church, I always mess up the name of it. They provide a mailing address so that individuals can receive their mail and get all their benefits. So we have helped successfully over 30 individuals to restart their lives with shelter that they pay for on their own, jobs that they're able to maintain their new lifestyle, and the rate of individuals who stay once they do function on their own is high. We're not seeing people drop off and get an apartment and then lose it. Our job is to make sure that they are successful as they restart their lives, and we cannot do it without all of our partners, and many of you are in this room. Even House and Healthcare, they help with some things. Sheriff's Department, I see Sheriff Moulton. There's just so many, I just can't call them all. I'm sure Brian has a long list, and I don't have the list. But yeah, he's like the Santa Claus. That's Christmas list.
Yes.
And we keep adding on the list. So talk to Brian. He knows what we need. Yeah.
That's great.
Wonderful.
Great.
And one of the things, of course, that, getting our homeless neighbors off the street, living off the streets and things, that it will help with is obviously beautification of our community, litter and other things. Growing cities often experience growing pains, and Warner Robins has its share, including challenges like blighted areas, beautification, and infrastructure, including water leaks. Can you share, both of you, some of the steps that are being taken to address these issues?
Want to start it off?
Sure.
You said it so nicely yesterday.
You expect me to remember what I said?
That's the hard part.
Wow, that wasn't in the job description. All right, so there's a few things that we're doing. One is our code enforcement operation to kind of give it a new focus and a heightened sense of leadership. We are realigning that, so that will now be within our police department. Now, I want to stress something to you. That's not intended as a move that should signal how we approach code enforcement. There are plenty of people in our community that want to take care of their property and don't have the means to keep up with the need, right? So it's important that our code enforcement officers work hand in hand with our community development department, because our community development department has access to various funding options and volunteer organizations that can help those folks who want to take care of their properties but don't have the means. To help address those who have the means and not the desire, or the ones who are absentee. The city last year, I believe, adopted a blight tax, right? Now, I don't like to use sticks, but if you're going to maintain your property intentionally, or better, not maintain your property intentionally, well, you're taxing the community. You're putting a burden on the community. You are degrading the quality of life of the community and degrading the value of the properties around you. So we're going to make you pay for that.
Amen.
Right?
That's right.
So our city attorney is working with us on how we're going to implement that, and we've got some things going on those lines. We will be to reduce the burden in our court for code enforcement and to speed the code enforcement process, which under state law is not fast, right? But we are enacting a code enforcement board. This is a citizens board, quasi-judicial. They actually hear and try cases. They can issue subpoenas. They can levy fines. It's something that's allowed for in state law that I've had success with in other communities. So all of those things will be going on, but at the same time, we've got a part to play ourselves, right? We had a council retreat February 17th. Code enforcement was a big topic of discussion. Along with that was maintenance of right-of-ways along key corridors, our key commercial corridors primarily. The city's gonna be taking that back. That's a directive that has come from mayor and council.
That deserves applause, the number of y'all who have called me about the grass.
So we're gonna be taking that back on. We're looking at exactly how we're going to implement that. We're exploring a variety of means beyond just, well, you know, for those of you who don't know Craig Clifton, Craig, raise your hand. So Craig is Mr. Get It Done, right? He is the head of our Public Works Department. There is nothing I can throw Craig's way that he doesn't say on it, and then it's done. But yes, we could do it that way, but partnering with the private sector in terms of hiring a vendor is probably a more efficient way and allows us to focus on other things that only Craig's team can do. So all of that is part of it. But another big part is, as we're working on the Commercial Circle project, we want to cast a vision that hopefully other private sector investors will come in, and for those properties that are being allowed to decline, hey, let's get them on the market, right? Let's leverage things like a land bank so that we can more easily bring those properties in. We can forgive property taxes, back taxes, and get them back into the market, remove the economic barrier so investors can come in and do something positive with those properties and elevate our community.
Because if people don't take care of their properties, I mean, we begged and we pled with the community to take care of their properties that are inside of their borders, and we know that it's just not working. At the end of the day, we've got to do something. So now it's going to take an investment for us to do something so that our entire city looks as beautiful as we need it to look. And we're doing everything in our power to make sure that that happens.
Very good. So, continuing on our discussion around strategic growth and planning, looking ahead, what is the city's strategy for addressing Warner Robinson's growth challenges with things like, we talked about infrastructure and beautification, but how are we addressing, or what role does annexation play in addressing the city's expansion and sustainability?
Well, for annexation, and we have been annexing for the life of our city, 8 years, but more recently we have, just because people like the Chamber, engage Warner Robins, the JDA, which is a joint development authority with Peach County, Houston County Development Authority, have been working so hard to bring attention to our area. We're getting the attention. So with that, the areas where people develop, if it's in the county, they cannot have sewer. So in order to have development, you need sewer, you need water, you need infrastructure. So that allows